Where'd you get that?
Purple Shrimers.
How is this even profitable?
See for yourself.
People are buying these? They just need to see the difference.
What do you think I've been doing out there, huh? Store after store, day after day. The craftsmanship. It's so durable, it can hold a 300-pound man. Pass it down to your grandchildren someday. You have my personal guarantee. I tried every angle, Jay.
I know, Rich, I know.
One of the many businesses Rich and Jay had started by their mid-20s was a toy company selling high-quality handmade wooden toys. They had secured investors and were building a large business. But with cheap plastics flooding the market, the Grand Rapids Toy Company was struggling to keep afloat. This failure could have ended their partnership, but the pair believed there was something out there for them. They just had to find it.
Some of the early things that Jay and Rich did were born out of a lot of support from their families.
My father was born in 1924. From the time that he could really start to remember things, the crash happened, and that would be his first experience in what would be the defining decade, I think, of his life. Growing up in Grand Rapids during that period of time, massive layoffs of people and foreclosures and banks going out of business and all those types of things had a dramatic impact.
My dad and his parents had to move back into their parents' home. And that's just what you did. Family took care of each other and family lived together, but that was just an indication of how difficult things were.
He grew up, not having much money at all, but nobody had any money, so nobody knew any difference.
If you look at the hardships they faced, shaping them as children living through that historic period, I believe it influenced them in many different ways.
My great-grandfather was a huckster. He sold vegetables in the street. My dad would walk with him from time to time and try to make a sale.
My grandfather was in the car business at the time, so I was very fortunate that he was in a business that put them in a little different spot, I think, than most. And they were able, through hard work and diligence to be able to survive that period.
This idea of having a business of your own, Jay's dad had that. He was in the car business, and my grandfather didn't. He worked for a company, and I think my grandfather saw that and said, well, that's the sort of thing, get into business for yourself.
Those were a lot of the things that seemed to be very, very significant in shaping their history.
That kind of shifted into the onset of World War II. And those are the things they talked about. We're going to get business together. We want to do this. We're going to go forward here.
During the war, my father and Rich would keep in contact. And there was a comment that my dad made to Rich while he was writing this letter. And he says, Rich, I just want you to remember, this war is not our zenith. We're destined for great things. I don't know what those are, but when this war is done, then we get to do our thing. And so that sets the stage for them when they do get out of the war of starting a business.
I don't think they knew exactly what they wanted to do. They sure weren't going to wait around for it to be dropped in their laps or for somebody to hand it to them.
They were not ones to step back and go, well, just hang around and wait for a while, They were the ones to say, well, what are you going to do? They were action-oriented.
There's always, let's figure it out. We don't know how to do this, but let's do it anyways, we'll figure it out. You know, that's just, that was their personality.
They had all these little ventures. They had paper routes, selling ice cream, charging kids a few cents for rides to school. And then they just kept going.
They got into stuff they knew nothing about.
They were trying to find the things that were gonna stick. They thought at the time that the toy business would be a good business. They had a high-quality product. It was something that everybody could buy, but the marketplace just wasn't interested in that at that point in time. And so it turned out to be a flop. But it wasn't something, oh, we failed at this, we're total failures. Absolutely not. What'd they do? Let's go try something else, see what that is.
If people weren't buying something, then it's time to move on and change course.
Jay and Rich bought a plane without even seeing it while they were still serving in the war. And then they started a flight school without really even knowing how to fly.
One of the pitches for the flight school was, if you can drive a car, you can fly a plane. That sure sounds like my dad. Their idea was, let's help people find a new perspective and a new possibility for their future.
They didn't wait for it to happen, they made it happen.
They hired the instructors that were needed. They found the local airport here in Grand Rapids that was going to be built. It wasn't built yet. They said, we just have to find a solution, right? The airport's not done. We've got customers. We're spending money. We gotta make sales here, right? So they bought the floats and flew the planes off the river.
They kept trying different things for various reasons. I don't know the other restaurant business because they saw that drive-in restaurant in California. They thought it'd be a good idea. They didn't know anything about restaurants.
Did the flight school in the daytime, and at night they opened the Riverside Drive-In.
So my dad used to say, 9 to 5 is when you put a roof over your head, but 5 to midnight is when you get ahead. So they were literally working around the clock.
The excitement that they always had was doing something new and different and trying it and just seeing what would happen. Sometimes it worked, and most times it doesn't.
It's really about humans flourishing, right? It's about putting yourself out there, taking a risk, and seeing what you can do with it.
I think their wooden horse product is a good example of one of their values. That they were always about making sure that the products they offered were quality, were going to be built to last, built for an important purpose, and guaranteed. They were always looking for the next thing, always adjusting and adapting and open to new ideas for their business. They knew that whatever business they were going to be in, the two of them could make it happen, and they sure did.
A man of long experience in life said it this way: every day you wait, you lose. All my life I've been planning and hoping and thinking and dreaming and loitering and waiting. All my life I've been getting ready to do something worthwhile. And that's the story of many people, isn't it? Indecision, you see, is decision the wrong way. And sooner or later, you have to act.
My father taught me through his example, without taking initiative, 9 times out of 10, nothing's ever going to happen.
My dad, he was pretty confident that you could do anything if you put your mind to it. And if that wasn't going to work out, then you just better do something else. Don't stop. Just try something new.
It was up to them. They couldn't look to anybody else. They had to do it. They had to figure it out. And that's who they were.
You got to look in the mirror. I mean, if there's something going on and if something's not right, that's the first place you look at yourself as to why things are the way they are. And then what are you going to do about it?
It's up to us to make things grow, to help things succeed. We know it's our responsibility.
They just rolled up their sleeves and got to work. And I think that's the lesson for all of us. Don't wait for the perfect plan or for someone to give you permission, but take ownership, take initiative. If you see a gap, fill it. If you have an idea, chase it. It's your life, it's your move. They taught us that responsibility isn't a burden, it's truly an opportunity. And when you really own that, there's no limit to what you can do.
evening, everyone. Bill and I would just like to thank you all for joining us tonight. We have some great things planned and even have a very special guest, Mr. Carl Renborg, the man behind this wonderful Nutrilite food supplement that you've all been selling. And we look forward to hearing from Mr. Renborg in a little while. But first, let's have a little fun before we get going. I'm sure you all have your Nutrilite pocket carriers on you, huh? Come on, let's see them. What true salesmen we are to utilize the product, huh? So, grab yourself a drink, get some refreshments, and we'll get started in a little while. Thank you all.
Hey, Sam, see those two over there? That's Jay Van Andel and Rich DeVos. Those two are really going places. Let me introduce you. Rich, Jay, want to introduce you to my son, Sam.
Great to meet you, Sam.
Nice to meet you.
Ah, following in your father's footsteps, I see.
Rich and Jay had started many ventures as they honed their skills, but by the 1950s they were focused on one thing: Nutrilite. Carl Renborg's idea was revolutionary, concentrating the good things in plants to supplement our diets and improve health. Jay and Rich saw in it not only the future of nutrition, but the future of business. They became students of everything Nutrilite represented: the science, the products, even Carl's son Sam, who would one day lead Nutrilite. Their curiosity kept them asking questions, learning, and imagining what this could become.
My father, Carl Renborg, was born in 1887, and he was truly a remarkable man. Back in his early days, he traveled all about China to sell cooking oils. He began to notice that people living in the countryside were much healthier than the people who lived in the big city. He saw that they were more physically active and they ate more fruits and vegetables. And he started to conclude that a plant-based diet was critical to people's health. So he began to study that. And then when he came back to the United States, he said, I think I can develop some products made from plant materials that would help improve the U.S. diet. And that's how the business began. He had a hard time selling it himself, but he kept at it. And finally, this one gal, she loved the product, and he said, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll pay you a 25% discount. You see if you can mark it up. She was a much better salesperson than he. The key thing was, she turned out to be incredibly successful in selling his products because she had been using the product for a period of time, and it changed her life. With this method of selling, you buy it from people who are using the product. Of all the things he said he did in his life, that was probably the biggest breakthrough. Be the product of the product. Dad and Rich, they were introduced to Nutrilite and thought, oh, okay, this is kind of interesting. Let's see where this goes.
Dad and Jay were Nutrilite distributors for almost a decade. And that gave them a deep respect for Carl Renborg and for the Nutrilite products.
They were very enamored with two things, both the product and the sales technique. When Jay and Rich came along, he knew there was something very special about them. I was at a leadership meeting, as a young kid when my father introduced the two gentlemen to me. They were only like 12 years older than I was, so it was like talking to somebody you knew. They wanted to know everything that I knew about Nutrilite. They both asked a lot of questions, and every time I ran into them in the future, they wanted to talk to me again to get my perspective. They were really intrigued as, what I was using, how did I use the product? Did I, get them to my friends? And what's your dad like? And, what were you going to do when you grew up? And, all that sort of stuff. I think they had tremendous respect for my father. He was quite a bit older than they were, but they were really intrigued, with what he'd done and how he'd done it.
My dad definitely caught the vision that Carl Renborg began.
No question about it. They, of course, started to get educated on what the Nutrilite vitamins really were about. He put in a garden right in our backyard behind our garage. And he grew spinach and Swiss chard and beans and squash. He saw that Carl had done a similar kind of thing and he wanted to do it too. I was the oldest one, so I guess you could almost say I was a little bit of a guinea pig. So I was eating baby food smoothies made out of all this stuff that my dad grew. I mean, we ate healthy. We really did. I mean, they understood what these things really meant for humans. People in those days, that was not a common thing.
It was my dad's curiosity that paved the way for Nutrilite, and I think he saw the same curiosity and care in Jay and Rich as well. Jay was really good. He knew all the details of the product, and Rich was very good at sharing the details of what the product was all about. They recognized that the secret to selling was having something that actually helped people. Jay and Rich could sell Nutrilite because they took it themselves and understood the benefits personally.
Started out, became Nutrilite distributors. They were in the Nutrilite business 10 years before they started Amway. They were known as the Dutch twins within the Nutrilite business because they were very successful.
Then Nutrilite began to have some difficulties.
That was the problem in the beginning with Nutrilite. There was too much friction between the sales force and the manufacturer.
Regulatory battles, leadership changes. Dad and Jay could see the risks.
That's what catapulted them into saying, okay, we're going to go off and we're going to build another business with different products.
Their curiosity led them to be able to not only find a new and different sales method for a new and different product in Nutrilite, but ultimately they said, well, this can be applied on a broader level to more products in a different way. They created whole new product lines. Started out in home care. Why did they do home care? Simple, easy to sell, everybody needs it, something that people can get started with.
When Jay and Rich started Amway, they were able to take the best parts of the Nutrilite sales plan and modify it to work even better. But they always maintained a line between Nutrilite distributors and Amway distributors before we merged.
It was always important for my dad and Jay to be principled in how they ran their business. And to leave Nutrilite was difficult for them, I'm sure. But it was important that they did it with integrity and maintained that mutual respect with the Renborg family. That's just how they did business.
They honored my dad and everything he built. Joining with Amway was a big step, and my trust in Jay and Rich helped make the process possible.
It's a humbling reminder for me, as a part of the third generation, to know all the innovations and leaps they made through their lives.
They modeled such curiosity and just interest in people and things and how the world worked. They were constantly trying to figure out how to make things better, how to evolve, how to change, how to grow, how to provide a better opportunity for people. I think that entrepreneurial mindset that they had was so solidified that once they started Amway, that didn't stop them from continuing to be curious and try and learn and try new things. That was a huge reason that Amway has become so successful, was their constant curiosity.
Curiosity is what keeps you going. I think the worst thing that you can do is get complacent. It stymies any sort of growth potential that you might have. That's not the example our grandparents left for us. They didn't work within the bounds of what they were given. They kept pushing.
That came with a lot of asking questions. They were just constantly reflecting and knowing that they weren't the ones with all the answers.
It's that constant curiosity of wanting to learn more. You never stop learning. Everybody says, well, oh no, you go to school, you learn this, and you're done. No, you're not. That just gets you to the starting gate. You're always going to be learning something, and it's the curiosity of wanting to learn more And how can I apply that and make what I'm doing better and make what I'm doing more successful as a result of that?
You'll be the same in 5 years as you are today, except for the people you meet and the books you read. It is necessary to learn from our own experience and from that of others so that we can become experts in that which we are doing.
I think Rich&Jay left an incredible legacy and some big shoes to fill for us as this next generation. They also didn't have all the answers. And so I know that we don't need to know everything. We just need to be curious and asking the right questions and seeking a better understanding of what the business needs, what people need, how the world is changing, and how we can make it better. How can we step back and reassess to ensure that we're doing it in the best possible way that we can?
Jay and Rich were light years ahead, thinking about incentives and increasing everyone's buy-in to build something phenomenal. They were ahead of the curve. In fact, they set the standard. And I think my dad saw that early on, and that's why he pointed out those two young men to me across the room all those years ago. Keep an eye on those two, he told me. They're going places.